This is one of those games where the box score lies to you, where the final score pretends this was calm, controlled even. But the reality is that this was chaos barely held together by brute force, raw aggression, and a defense that flat out refused to blink. And the moment you realize that is the moment you understand why this conversation exploded the way it did. Why Shannon Sharpe couldn't stop himself from saying what he said, and why this Texans team just forced the entire league to take a hard look in the mirror. Because this wasn't just a 2016 win, this was a warning shot. And it started with that defensive line absolutely terrorizing Justin Herbert to the point where you almost felt bad watching it. Almost. Because what Houston did wasn't pretty. It wasn't clean. It wasn't polished. It was violent, suffocating, and relentless. And that's exactly why it worked. From the very first snap, you could feel the tension building because everyone watching knew this game was sitting on the edge of something ugly. Something that could swing wildly depending on one mistake, one missed assignment, one bad read. And when that first breakdown happened, it felt like the dam broke. This wasn't a slow burn. This was instant chaos. The Texans came out like they had something to prove, like they were tired of being talked about as a nice story, a rebuilding team, a cute surprise, and instead wanted to remind everyone that defenses still win football games, that pressure still matters, and that quarterbacks, no matter how talented, can still be rattled into mistakes when the heat is constant and unforgiving. And that's where this conversation really begins, because once you strip away the stats and the final score, what you're left with is a brutal football truth that Shannon Sharpe hammered home. The Texans' defensive line is dangerous, and Stroud, for all his talent, was living on the edge. The Chargers walked into this game and immediately found themselves in survival mode, and it didn't take long to see why. Justin Herbert was under siege. 5 sacks doesn't even tell the full story because he was pressured far more than that. Hit, chased, forced to move, forced to think, forced to survive. And Shannon said it straight up. If Herbert wasn't as big, as strong, as athletic as he is, he might have been sacked 10 times. That's not exaggeration. That's reality. That's what happens when a defensive front starts winning at the line of scrimmage and never lets go. And yet somehow, despite all of that chaos, the Texans nearly gave it away. That's the part that makes this conversation so layered. Stroud throws 2 interceptions, and not soft ones either. One of them had Shannon almost losing his mind because it was a decision that simply can't happen at this level. Forcing the ball into the middle, throwing into coverage, making a choice that had no margin for error. That's the part of CJ's game that still scares people. Because when it's clean, when the pocket holds, when the reads are there, he looks surgical. He looks calm. He looks like a franchise quarterback. But when pressure shows up, when timing gets disrupted, when routes take too long to develop, the cracks start to show. And that's exactly what this game exposed. But here's where it gets fascinating, because despite those mistakes, despite the interceptions, despite the stalled drives, the Texans still won. They won because their defense refused to break. They won because the Chargers kept stepping on their own feet. A missed field goal, a pick in the end zone, a dropped ball that could have completely changed the outcome, red zone failures that turned potential momentum into wasted opportunity. And Shannon nailed it when he said it. You kick field goals, you lose games. You score touchdowns, you win them. The Chargers didn't do that, and the Texans took advantage. And that's where the conversation shifted from just a game recap to something much bigger. Because now you're talking about a team that started 0-3, a team that easily could have folded, could have lost belief, could have pointed fingers, and instead found a way to claw back into the playoff picture. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens because of culture. That happens because of defense. That happens because there's a backbone in that locker room that doesn't flinch when things get ugly. And that's what made Shannon say it out loud. This defense is special, not just good, not just solid, potentially special. You hear it when he starts breaking down the coverage, the leverage, the way defenders are coached, the chess match between route concepts and defensive alignment. This wasn't casual talk. This was deep football IQ on display. Talking about outside leverage, safety help, how one wrong step puts you in no man's land, how if you play it wrong, you're dead to rights. And that's what makes this Texans defense dangerous. They understand leverage, they understand spacing, they understand timing. And when you combine that with a pass rush that can collapse a pocket without blitzing, that's when quarterbacks start rushing throws, forcing balls, and making mistakes that don't show up in the playbook, but show up on the scoreboard. And then there's the part nobody wants to ignore, but everybody feels. This defense looks like it was built for January. Physical, aggressive, violent within the rules. The kind of unit that drags you into a street fight whether you like it or not. Shannon even said it. Some of these guys look like they were born in the wrong era, like they belong back when football was meaner, when hits were heavier, when offenses didn't get every advantage. And that's not nostalgia. That's a statement about identity. The Texans are building something that travels. Defense travels. It doesn't matter where you play. If you can rush the passer and cover on the back end, you've always got a chance. But make no mistake, this wasn't some flawless performance. The Texans' offense stalled. They were only 3 for 11 on third down. That's not winning football most weeks. They survived because the Chargers couldn't capitalize. They survived because turnovers went the wrong way for LA. They survived because when it mattered, the defense slammed the door shut. And that's where the tension lives moving forward. Because if Stroud keeps putting the ball in harm's way, playoff teams will punish that. There's no mercy in January. There's no room for 2 interceptions and hope it works out. And yet, even with that concern, the belief is growing. You can hear it in Shannon's voice when he talks about this team. You can hear the respect. You can hear the caution too, but it's mixed with something else. Expectation. This isn't a feel-good story anymore. This is a team that people are starting to take seriously. A team that can rush the passer, cover on the back end, and survive ugly games. And those are the teams nobody wants to see in the postseason. The conversation kept circling back to one truth. The Texans didn't win because they were perfect. They won because they were tougher when it mattered. Because when the Chargers had chances, they blinked. Because when pressure came, one quarterback cracked just enough, and the other survived just enough. And in the NFL, that's often the only difference. That's why this game matters. That's why this conversation matters. It's not about one score or one stat line. It's about identity. It's about whether this Texans team is for real or just riding momentum. And after watching that defensive front wreak havoc, after watching that secondary hold together under fire, after watching them absorb mistakes and still stand tall, it's hard not to believe there's something real here. Dangerous even. So when Shannon says that D-line is too dangerous, he's not exaggerating. He's warning the league. Because if this defense keeps playing like this, and if Stroud cleans up just a few of those mistakes, this team stops being a nice story and starts becoming a problem, a real one. And that's why this game, this moment, and this conversation hit the way it did. Because everybody watching knows it now. The Texans aren't coming. They're already here.